What is up, and welcome to our final regular season Avenger League weekly preview. Week 14. We have 8 teams. Well, we have 6 teams in the playoffs locked in. We have 3 teams essentially fighting for the final spots. And then we have a nice quick 2 teams eliminated. So I will go through the rankings here real quick, and I'll kind of go through each scenario. I've kind of briefly looked at the bye week scenarios. I know Raleigh did some breakdowns that I was reading over here on Discord yesterday. And then for the other ones, I kind of looked through it, but it does get a little bit simpler since the top 4 teams have the same record. So the head-to-head tiebreakers are already factored into the rankings here. So, as long as the top teams win, they pretty much stay in the order there are, which right now would be Charlie as your regular season champ and getting the first round bye. Tim in second place, taking the second bye week. And then Ashley in third place and Raleigh in fourth. So all those teams are 8 and 5 in that order for the head-to-head tie breaks. Ashley or Raleigh, they do play each other. So one of them will automatically be knocked out of the running for that. And the other would basically need Charlie or Tim to also take a loss if they were looking to get into the bye week special. What's interesting about that is Charlie and Tim both play 2 of the teams looking to steal the last spot, which I'll get to in just a moment. But so after that, you have that cluster of 8 and 5 teams. You have Wade in 5th place at 7 and 6 with Andrew, and thank John for doing the math that Andrew winning. Because they play, Andrew and Wade play each other. Andrew has enough tiebreakers to get in. If Wade wins, he's in, and Andrew would be your 6th spot. They would basically stay there. If Andrew wins, obviously he takes over the head-to-head from Wade. Would also be ahead in points, and actually it doesn't matter. His record just goes up, and Wade then would drop out, probably. So after those 7 and 6 teams, which are your last 2 in the playoff right now, if the season ended right now, we have John at 7 and 6, and we have at also sorry, so 6 and 7. Basically, John, if Wade loses, John can win, and he will be in the playoffs. If Wade and John lose and ends, he would then take the last spot and be your 6th seed. And then so that's the playoff picture. The rest of the seeding doesn't really matter. I mean, it really matters who gets in and who's the bye. And then we have myself and Cameron in 9th, and then myself at 2 and 11. Luckily we play each other, so we get to stay out of everyone's way. A little bit of history going on in that matchup as well, though. The previous worst record of all time was 2 and 11. Which was set by Cameron way back in, I believe, 2015 is what was posted here earlier. Obviously I'm 2 and 11 now. If I lose this game, that would put me at 2 and 12 and the new all-time worst record. So now let's get into the matchups. I'll just start with Cameron and myself just to get it out of the way. I mean, there's not a lot going on here. I do like my matchups. Joe Burrow takes on the Cowboys this week. James Cook and Breece Hall against the Rams and the Dolphins, respectively. I love all those. AJ Brown gets Carolina. Marvin Harrison does play Seattle, who is kind of a weak secondary, but last time they played, they didn't really do much. Division rivals, nothing goes perfectly smooth in the division, as can happen. And then obviously I was able to snatch up Isaac Guerrero this week. I didn't even go over waiver wires, which I really haven't even looked at because the app has been doo-doo. So let me do that real quick. Ads. I was wondering if it was just my team. All right. So I picked up Isaac Guerrero, obviously with Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey both going to IR. Raleigh added Nick Westbrook-Akine. Skipped a couple defenses. Caleb Williams was added by Tim, looking for a bye week fill-in for Lamar. Then we had Evan Ingram added by Wade. Just full circle. He's finally back on a team. We had Elijah Moore added by Raleigh. And then Andrew picked up Russell Wilson. And Charlie picked up Tyler Algier. And Raleigh picked up Blake Corum. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, so yeah, that's my matchup this week. I do like what I've got going on. Brees Hall missed practice today. I think that it's been widely considered just a maintenance day, but still something to keep an eye on. And then on the other side, Brock Purdy against Chicago kind of scares me against Jordan with the stack with George Kittle. Drake London against Minnesota is really scary. Cooper Kupp against the Bills, I'm not worried about. And the tough matchups here right in the middle with the other running backs. Chuba Hubbard has the Eagles, and Najee Harris is taking on the Browns, which the Browns' run defense has not been the best this year. They're still top 10. They got ran on a little bit last week, but I favor that matchup. Anyway. Website has this as 101 to 99 in favor of me. Obviously nothing's been a guarantee this year. I like the matchups. I like what I've got. I think I can pull off the win and stay out of the history books this week. Anyway, enough loser talk. Now let's start with probably the most interesting matchup this week, which is Raleigh and Ashley. Which may not even matter if Tim and Charlie could just take care of business. But still interesting nonetheless. I mean, it'll definitely decide seeding, and it's two of the better teams playing each other. Baker Mayfield gets Vegas, a very favorable matchup there. I was kind of worried about the ankle injury last week, but he doesn't even have an injury designation. He was a full participant in practice, and he ended up finishing off that game. So it looks like he'll be fine. But definitely was that his worst game of the season? He played Denver in week 3 and put up 8 points, but coming off a 10-point performance, not great. I did also see, and I guess we'll find out here, Mike Evans missed practice today. I think it's considered just a maintenance day. I think he's fine. He had that hamstring earlier. They listed as a hamstring injury, so hopefully it's just maintenance, veteran maintenance day. Oh, you're missing a kicker. I was wondering why your projections were so low. Raleigh is missing Joe Mixon and Bo Nix this week, as well as Kaimi Fairbairn, who has been an all-star for him. So normally a kicker wouldn't matter. That's been a pretty big name, and obviously the rookie quarterbacks come along, and Joe Mixon has just been a force all year. Ashley will be missing her slew of Colts and Brian Robinson. So Jonathan Taylor's out, Brian Robinson's out, and Michael Pittman is out. Jonathan Taylor, I think, is the biggest name there. Brian Robinson's had a good time, has had a good season, but she's been able to fill in pretty easily there. But missing both Jonathan Taylor and Brian Robinson at the same time is tough. Sam Darnold sneakily put together a pretty big week last week, and now they get Atlanta. Josh Jacobs gets a tough run defense in Detroit on Thursday night, which is bound to just be a phenomenal game. Really excited about that one. You've been paying attention. Me and Tim do have a jersey bet riding on that. Jamar Chase against the Cowboys. I think the Bengals probably go out and exercise some demons from this season on the Cowboys a little bit. So definitely fun to keep an eye on there. Shakir against the Rams. Shakir, obviously ever since the Amari Cooper trade, has taken a hit in his targets. Last week he had the snow game, but he hasn't found the end zone. He's only got 1 touchdown this year, and I think that's what's really been holding him back. I mean, he's been decent, solid. He's kind of one of those like he could go off, and he's too tough to bench. Not to mention you've got Pittman on a bye, and you're not starting Jalen Tolbert, so kind of stuck there. That's probably the weak point in this matchup. Malik Neighbors on the other side, you can make an argument for. Obviously, Neighbors is a stud, but nobody's throwing to him. What does it matter? So missing a kicker here. How many points are kickers normally worth? 7, 6. The website would have it 101 to let's say 98 for Raleigh. And it is really tough. I think Jamar Chase has a monster week. Having him on Monday night, I do think Ashley ends up pulling this victory off, knocking Raleigh back into most likely 4th place where he's sitting now. Some other shakeups could happen there, but I don't foresee him falling really at all. Obviously, he's in the playoffs. He's locked in. I think 4th is the worst he can finish. Don't hold me to that. I haven't done the math. Yeah. I assume he'd have the tiebreaker over Wade. Who's Wade or Andrew? The only people that can catch him. I don't know what the tiebreakers would be there. Anyway, so on to let's go with the other matchup. Let's go with the other matchup basically winning in. Andrew and Wade are winning in. Now Wade could technically still take a loss here and be in as long as John and are also lost. But he's kind of up against it this week. He's got, I guess he's not. I don't know why I thought he had more people on bye. It's a lot of fill-ins. Cortland Sutton sucks, but sucks to be missed. Not sucks. He's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, most of your lineup's still intact here. You got Justin Herbert playing the Chiefs is tough, but Justin Herbert usually plays them pretty well. Obviously, that defense is next level. I think they've already played this year. Yeah, 179 yards and a touchdown. But that was towards the beginning of the season when they were kind of, taking it a little easy. Herbie has been, his highest point total is 24 this year. He's gone 7-17 in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh, they've a run game and young wide receivers has been their MO. Justin Herbert versus Russell Wilson. Oh man, yeah. Jaden Daniels on a bye, and Justin Herbert is just QB1. So kind of interesting to see if he'll make a change there. I don't know who is necessarily available right now, but he maybe could look to make a change there. Kamara against the Giants is terrifying. Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit in the doghouse this week. He posted their pressure changes. He was kept out of the end zone last week, had a fumble. Kind of a tough week for him. We'll see if he bounces back against Green Bay. I assume he will. That feels like a kind of organization where when shit hits the fan, they just feed you the ball and you go for 200 yards. On the flip side, James Conner has a nice favorable matchup against the Seahawks. What did he do last time they played? 7.4 points. At 8 yards rushing, 41 on the ground, but the Cardinals just kind of fell apart in Seattle last time they were there. I do think they're going to have a better week at home. Obviously, the Seattle defense is not great, so I look for them to have a bounce back against a division opponent. Now Bijan playing the Vikings. Obviously Bijan's incredible, but the Vikings giving up the third fewest points to running backs this week. When you look at his performance against similar defenses, he had 8 against Denver a couple weeks ago. When he had that stretch of New Orleans and Tampa Bay, he went 9-9. That was, when I had him. Before that, he didn't score more than 15 points. So I do think we get a little bit of a weak Bijan week. Say that 5 times fast. DK Metcalf in that matchup with Arizona as well. I really don't even know what DK Metcalf has done this season. I just kind of see him pop up on red zone every once in a while. Looks like not much. I was told he was going to be a top 10 wide receiver. That looks like it has not come to fruition. And then T. Higgins against Dallas. Like I said, I think the Bengals just clowned the Cowboys this weekend on Monday night. So look forward to that. So for as little as DK Metcalf I think is going to do this week, look for T. Higgins to make it up a little bit. And Andrew does have Jerry Jeudy and Jawan Jennings in his back pocket down here if he decides to make a different move there. Especially, I think Bucky Irving missed practice today, and right now he's in the slot. Yeah, non-participant Wednesday's practice due to hip injury. Was limping. Was limping out of the game at Carolina. So another interesting thing to keep an eye on. Like I said, you've got options down here. CeeDee Lamb's not even in the lineup yet, so I imagine this lineup's going to change quite a bit before it goes live on Sunday. Maybe even tomorrow if we're thinking of Dontavian Wicks. You shouldn't, but he's there. On the flip side, Jackson Smith and Jigba against Arizona. So very fun Seattle wide receiver matchup here, which obviously JSN has been the better for the past couple of weeks. 16, 16, and 9 his points after that dominant 180-yard performance a couple weeks ago. So I look for him to continue that against an Arizona defense that admittedly has looked a lot better recently. Still number 18 to opposing wide receivers, so like there's room there to exploit them, but they're not the Cardinals from the beginning of the year. I'll say that. Garrett Wilson against Miami, it's fun. Lad McConkey there with the stack against on Herbert. It's not like you have other options. You have Gus Edwards on your bench, which no. You have Kareem Hunt on your bench, which no. So I will say this. It looks like I have questions with both of these lineups. Andrew has the depth and the non-buys and the people to fix them, or to at least plug and play. So for that reason alone, I'm going to go with Andrew. He is also projected a 108 to 99.6 victory. So projected one of the larger margins there. I am going to go with Andrew to pull the V off this week. Now, full disclosure, I haven't looked ahead to know who else I'm going to pick, so I don't know what that does for the playoffs right now. But Wade might be in some trouble. I am correct, which I rarely am wrong, except for most of the time. Now let's go to the first of these of the possible replacements. Because this is well, I guess no, the other one's on a big buy too. So the crazy part here is that with Wade possibly losing this, projected to lose, let's say for the sake of argument that he does lose, the people most hurt by the bye weeks this week, I would say, were Charlie missing Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers, and Tim missing Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. Now John is missing Nico Collins, so that's significant. But he's still starting Justin Jefferson, Jaden Reed, Kenneth Walker, Devon Achane, Tyron Tracy. Startable players. Obviously Josh Allen is his quarterback, playing against the Rams, coming off of that Superman display, and still needing to win to get the 1 seed. You have Patrick Mahomes taking on the Chargers, who are a good defense. You have Charlie plugging in Tyler Algier against a top 5 defense. You have Tank Bigsby against a top 5 run defense in Tennessee. Sorry, they're number 15, but they're better than average. I guess they are exactly. Actually, yeah, they're slightly better than average. That number 15. Nailed it. You have George Pickens in a tough matchup against Cleveland. You have Puka Nacua playing the Bills. So a lot of things are lining up here for John to be able to pull this off. He's projected 106 to 91. He's projected to fucking kill Charlie. Which would mean a lot of things. If we've talked about it, if Wade loses, that would put John, and I'm predicting John to win, by the way. I think there's a lot of hurt over here. Charlie is in a combination of bad matchups, and your best players on a bye. I think Charlie is sitting pretty for a playoff run. I think this week is going to be a little tough. He may have some magic left up those sleeves, but starting 3 Chiefs against a good Chargers defense, and the rest of your guys are, you're starting Tyler Algier against Minnesota. That's tough. Nothing you can do about it. Maybe Calvin Ridley gets a look against Jacksonville. Actually, Calvin Ridley should definitely get a look against Jacksonville, and then maybe Jordan Love against the Lions. Anyway, I still think John wins. So obviously that would put him now in the playoffs, taking Wade's spot. That would knock Charlie off of the number 1 spot, and open it up for guaranteed that either Ashley or Raleigh are getting a win this week. So, one of them could move up, assuming Tim loses. I don't really remember what I predicted him. Oh, I haven't yet. But I think he's getting bye fucked too. So that could launch somebody into the 1 seed, and also save John's playoff drought. And I think it happens. And if it doesn't happen, if John can't pull the victory off, we still have 1 more game. We have Tim versus and I mentioned Tim also being fucked on the bye week. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. I didn't realize Terry McLaurin and Ramondre Stevenson are also on a bye. But let's not paint him as the only victim here. Is missing Javonte Williams, so I don't want the narrative being that only Tim has players on a bye. But we're starting Caleb Williams, we're starting Saquon Barkley, Chase Brown. Your Saquon Barkley core against Carolina is disgusting. Chase Brown against the Cowboys is disgusting. Tyreek Hill has not done anything this year, but he's playing the Jets. He's also questionable. Didn't practice Wednesday. Oh, he's had that nagging wrist injury. But Tim has also been winning really without him. He put up 17.3. He got saved off that tip ball touchdown against Green Bay on Thanksgiving night. And Caleb Williams has been playing well. I didn't even really stop to talk about him. He's been playing well, but against kind of questionable secondaries, and he's putting up a lot of garbage time points. San Francisco, while they're kind of on the decline, and I think they're probably getting closer to just quitting on the season altogether. They can rush the passer, and they can cover wide receivers. That's what Caleb Williams can't kind of combat right now. So I don't think Caleb Williams has the same success. We'll see if he rides that out, or maybe, I don't know, looks to make another move. JMO against Green Bay. Laporta is back in with Mark Andrews. Like this is a tough lineup to look at. Rico Dowdle against Cincinnati. His running back matchups are actually pretty insane. Yeah, Carolina, Dallas, and Cincinnati. Obviously, them two playing each other on Monday night and having the back half is pretty beautiful. But when you look over Trevor's team, Jalen Hurts against Carolina is a beautiful matchup. He should, he's probably going to run the ball some. He's going to get through them. DeAndre Swift against San Francisco. As much as I said, Caleb probably is not going to be great against San Francisco. DeAndre Swift, I mean, San Francisco's number 28 against the run. They just got ran all over by the Bills in a snow game where they were loading 8-9 in the box. Yeah, I do think DeAndre Swift is going to be able to move the ball against him. Isaiah Pacheco has a tough matchup against the Chargers, who are number 6 against rushing teams, against the rush. Now you still have DJ Moore, the beneficiary of Caleb Williams down here. I think he probably struggles to get going this week. We'll see. It looks like Devontae Smith is back, so I assume we'll see him slotted in there over DJ Moore at some point. We'll also see if Nick Chubb can get back in the lineup. Right now we have Brian Thomas. I would assume that Trevor Lawrence is out, so probably not counting on Brian Thomas Jr. against the with Mac Jones throwing to him. So we'll see if ETN maybe makes an appearance there. Nick Chubb could also make an appearance there. Rashad White, if Bucky Irving isn't playing, could also make an appearance in the flex spot. A lot of interesting choices there. And obviously if you do want to ride with Brian Thomas, you maybe look at, you're probably not taking Pacheco or Swift out, so that's dumb. I think DJ Moore probably gets the bump from the lineup at some point, and one of those gets slotted in. So the website still has it projected as a Tim win here, 103 to 97. Obviously, like I've said, if Wade loses and John loses, would be the beneficiary there, and all he needs to do is win, and he's in. But I do think Tim gets the win here. Saquon, this running back, this 3-headed running back monster is disgusting. Saquon against Carolina, Chase Brown against Dallas, and Rico Dowdle against the Bengals. I don't really care what the rest of the lineup looks like. That's probably going to get you 75 points, probably. So you put 50 out of the rest of the lineup, and you're sitting pretty. Yeah, Tim wins. My projection has John in the playoffs. The rest are set. Good luck this week. Love y'all.